Call
Call
your
your
sponsor.
sponsor.
Call
you
your
sponsor.
sponsor.
Call you
Call
sponsor.
your
Call you
sponsor.
sponsor.
Call you.
Bitch, call your sponsor.
Yeah.
Call
I mean,
your
I could give you an example today. Like the loving myself
Bring
is
it.
I was supposed to meet somebody this morning earlier for a meeting. And then somebody had texted me that they saved me a seat. And I was like, I'm exhausted. I'm run down. Like it's raining. Like,
Mhm.
you know, and I literally,
Yes.
and the one person that saved me the seat was like, we had met earlier in the week and had a lovely coffee and we were talking about like being our word, you know?
Mm.
And I was like, oh yeah, like I'm not 100 my word. Like I will be honest about not being honest with my word, you know, like yeah, totally. You know, that's you know, and they're like old school like
Right.
100 with
right.
their word where they don't have contracts in business. Like that's my word, you know? And I was like, okay. So anyway, I meditated and I was conflicted inside. I said, I don't really 100% feel like I'm exhausted, you know?
I love this. Yes, it's a perfect example.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I meditated and then I texted one person and said, not looking like I'm going to make it. So sorry. And then I went to lay down and I said, let me just lay down. And I literally, after 8.5 hours of sleeping last night, deep sleep, according to my Aura ring, I went to bed again and slept for another 2 hours, you know? And yeah.
This is what self-care and self-love, I think, looks like, as opposed to doing right by other people or following rules. And it does mean checking in with myself because it is equanimity. And sometimes I do need to push myself. And sometimes I do need to hunker down and do self-care. And loving myself means that I know myself well enough that I can trust myself to get behind that belly button and go, which one is it? Do we need to push and power through, or do we need to hunker down and do self-care? And it's okay either way. Even if I make the wrong choice, I love you no matter what.
And I think that for me is the thing is, you know, even though I make the wrong choice, I love you no matter what.
Yes. Yes.
I
did it this week too. I had someone reached out on a thread with many people and said, hey, does anybody want to go to this event on Saturday night? It looks fun. And I'm like, I want to go. And so they message me off to the side and say, great, you know, I think this will be really fun. I'm like, this sounds so cool. And then they tell me how much it is. And I'm like, and I said, I may have gotten in over my head. Like I didn't, you know, I'm not spending that money right now. I'm choosing to like watch my finances differently. And they said, yeah, I should probably do the same thing, but I'm not, or I don't know. And so it was just left up in the air. And a part of me started to feel guilty, like, oh, I should have not responded. I should have let somebody else respond. I should have asked. I didn't mean to divert, you know, and then I was like, it is what it is. Like they can ask again.
Yep.
And then I said to them the day of, I was like, hey, I'm not going to be going. And I'm not even going to the meeting that I suggested as a backup because I'm too tired. And if you like want to get dinner, want to hang out sometime, you know, I'm all ears. And they said, okay, sorry, you can't go. And that was it. And part of me was like, oh, did I lose this new friend? And but I was exhausted. I could barely drive. I was so tired. And I was just going to hunker down. And had to let go of all those, or chose to let go of all those stories and spin outs about what they thought about me. If I love myself, their opinion doesn't hold. It can't stick.
I just was brought back to Bill's story when he's sitting at the table with Abby. And Abby's telling him he found God. And, you know, I'll drink, you know, I'll let him rant all right. You know, I have my drinks, you know, I'm set, I'm cool. I've got enough alcohol. And then it goes on to say, that he was inwardly reorganized. His roots grasped new soil. And as you were sharing, that was what was coming to me, is that I become, as I stay this path, as I don't pick up a day at a time, as I continue to practice self-love, my connection to myself, my higher self, my best self, all of this stuff, seeing how it could be of service, starting from within, like it's ultimately, I'm coming from a different place, right? So like growing up, it's the higher power was everyone else but me. I was pulled outside of, my inner guide, as it were, and was really focused on my approval rating.
Yes, because that was replaced as the inner guide. It was reset. What you knew to be an inner guide was replaced by what did they think of you? And you really didn't have any control over that reprogramming. It was a fact. It wasn't like you were choosing to go, I'll let my outsides represent whether I'm worthy or not. It was a fact that was your worth. And same with me, and same with so many other people in recovery. And now we're being reset to, of myself, I'm whole no matter how I show up. And yesterday I went to a meeting, and afterwards they were like, hey, we're going to go grab a coffee after. And it's almost like this exclusive, we're going to grab a coffee after. Like, hey, on the DL, we're telling you, you know?
Yeah.
I'm being invited to the club, which feels good. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, it does feel
good. I have to go to the bank, as we've talked about, and do some stuff over there, which is right next door. So I go over to the bank, I do the stuff, and then I go over to the coffee place and nobody's there. And I'm like 15 minutes later. And I'm like, well, either I miss them or they're not over here yet, or they move places. And I am content to sit here and enjoy my bagel. And I don't care if they show up. I don't care what happened. I don't care if they changed places and forgot to tell me. Like, this was so new. And I noticed every single thought in my head. I was just so appreciative that my own company was satisfying to They texted and said, hey, I got to chatting. We're headed over. And so I still got to enjoy him, even though I'd already let it go. It was so cool.
Wow. I love that, because I have been that, hey, I'm here. I'm in that text. Yoo-hoo, over here. Like, are you guys on your, hello? What did I miss?
Same. And you know what's so good? Like, there are the people that will go, hey, I'm here. Yeah. And then there's the people like, I guess they left and didn't want to be with me. You know? And I went through both emotions while I sat there and was like, okay, cool. Maybe they left and didn't want to be with me. And then I'm like thinking, hey, I'm here. And I'm like, yeah, but Misty, who cares? Like, right now you're happy. You're enjoying yourself. Do you need them right now? No.
Oh my God. This just brought up something. Like, we're going to need to do a whole episode on this. It's like the extremes, like, the brain is binary, and the extremes, right? Like, oh, they don't like me, or, oh, like whatever those two thoughts are, right. Those are the only two answers that are ever possible in my brain.
Thank you. Struggle the top of the heap or hide underneath it. I keep saying it. For some reason, that phrase popped out at me, I guess, like last year around this time, and that is all I can think of. And that's why equanimity is a solution for that, of thinking it through. Like, yep, they may hate you. Okay, cool. Can I get through that with me and my higher self?
That's so good. It is so good.
So good.
And none of it was true, is the point.
Yes, exactly. That is the funniest part. And yes, it does feel ninja, but it doesn't I'm not always here. I'm here right now because of some painful moment I'm going through, because I'm in the tumbler, because the glitter's being sprinkled on the outside, that I'm able to go, yep, they may hate you right now. Okay, well, listen, I'm dealing with enough shit. That's fine.
But you being there and being like, oh well, I like myself, I love myself, I'm enjoying this. That gets you your ninja status this week.
Yes. And that is the love yourself. That the only reason I was able to do that in that moment is because I do love myself, good and bad. I didn't get perfect to love myself. I love myself even if they all said, she sucks, we're going somewhere else. They can do that. And that's, to me, is the beauty of loving myself, is nobody else has to do it different. They don't have to drive different. They don't have to invite me anywhere. They don't have to do anything, because my hula hoop is filled with light and love, and I don't give a fuck what's happening in your hula hoop. But when I don't fully love myself, I'm like wondering what's going on in your hula hoop, and why aren't you spreading some of it to my hula hoop? And how can I get in there? And why did your hula hoop go further away from mine? And
oh, this is so good. We're at our final 5. I have a question for you.
Yay, bring it.
So to continue the topic of love, what is something that you have had trouble loving about yourself that is less troublesome, I guess, or is less of a love matter?
Good. That's so good. Oh, I'm gonna get misty.
Misty with Misty.
So my first thought was, think of something that you haven't fully done or whatever. I don't know. It was still a way to kind of beat myself up with an answer, right? And that's why I got misty, because my second answer is something I've really, really grown to love and appreciate. And that is my rebellious nature. And I've always felt so bad about being such a rebel and questioning and saying no, and everybody says yes, and not wanting to be the person that's like, so be of service, and all these things where it's like, oh, it's so kind to do this, and me going, I don't want to be kind, like all this thing where it's like I've always felt like I'm bad girl because of it, and I'm recognizing now it's like, no, you're right. You're right because of it. Like that whole Martha Beck Glennon, whatever, that Amanda, where she was like, I want to help others. I want to help. The end of the story came to be like, you need to be, I guess, more rebellious. Like it's healthy to not be so invested in what they're doing. And so I'm loving that part of myself that I've always shamed and other people have shamed, and just gone, you're okay to be in your hula hoop.
Wow, that's so good.
What about you?
There's 2 things that came to mind, and of course now they both escape, but I guess no.
I understand.
One was a body image thing. But the thing that after hearing you share that is really coming up is this, like, all parts of myself, like all parts of my spirit. And what I realized, even just this past week, I was at that, birthday party for the 3-year-old where there's a bunch of kids. It's like, there's that playful spirit of mine that I miss, and that that I'm experiencing more daily, that has been pushed away. It was like, sit up, do this, that kind of thing. My mother, I think, like, had a permanent lint remover attached to her, like, you know what I mean? Like constantly, like, yeah. So yeah, it's that playfulness of spirit. It's that carefree nature of just like being, and actually experiencing joy and fun. And, it's one of the a bunch of these kids wanted to pop the balloons. There was like a beautiful arc of balloons. And I was like, huh? No, like, what? And then I was like, fuck yeah, and I was like getting them forks and like showing them how to like properly pop the balloon so they wouldn't get hurt and or stab each other, where I was like, this is fun. And seeing them sit on the balloon and then it like they're literally all their full body weight of a 3-year-old sitting on a balloon and then it pops and then they fall backwards because it's like they totally lose their balance. And then they're just all laughing hysterically. And I'm like, in the past, I've been like, oh my God, you're going to break your skull. Or, oh my God, you're going to, it's like, yeah, there's certain parameters. Like I'm aware, I'm giving them a sharp object. And there's a way where we could do this in a fun way. And it was just like that for me, it was like that lighthearted, like, oh my God, like this is the fun that I haven't had, And my friend had sent me a text later that day saying like, you need to do something with kids.
Oh.
And I was like, I have to, whether it's in an earning capacity or not, because it's like, that's where I feel closest to my essence.
Yeah. Oh, that's so beautiful. Thank you for sharing that.
Oh, thank you, Misty.
Thank you. So these Sunday mornings I'm cherishing. But also it could be too beautiful to live, y'all. So like, subscribe, bcysponsor@gmail.com. Give us some feedback. Send us some questions. We're happy to do a questions episode. That would be really fun.
Ooh, ask us anything.
Ask us anything.
Anything. Ask us anything.
Thank you so much, Sam.
Missy, love you.
Love you. And hey, bitch.
Call your sponsor.
Call your sponsor.
Call you sponsor. Call you sponsor. Call you sponsor. Call you.
Bitch, call your sponsor.
Call your sponsor. Call.
New episode tomorrow. Send us an email, bcysponsor@gmail.com.